Good afternoon from Tokyo. Thank you for joining the Knowledge Forum titled Exploring New Forms of Cooperation with Emerging Development Partners From Knowledge Sharing to Knowledge Co-Creation. I am Shiori Shimizu from JICA Ogata Research Institute. First, let me invite Ms. Haruko Kamei, Director General of JICA Ogata Research Institute, for the opening remarks and introduce the objective of today's seminar. Ms. Kamei, please.
Thank you very much, Shimizu-san, for your kind introduction. Let me share my presentation file before I start talking. Okay, so good afternoon again. Thank you very much for joining today's Knowledge Forum. As today's MC, Ms. Shimizu introduced, the theme is exploring new forms of cooperation with emerging development partners. We are organizing this seminar to conclude our research project we conducted last year about the partnership with emerging development partners. As we are all aware, we are living in a rapidly changing world, and we have been witnessing several examples, like rising geopolitical tensions, such as war in Ukraine, Palestine, or in Iran. And there has been a relative decline ODA among the traditional development partners. For instance, like due to fiscal pressure from defense spending in European countries, the dismantling of USAID under the Trump administrations. On the other hand, we see greater engagement from increasingly diversified actors, including the private sector and emerging partners. As a result, global development is shifting towards a multiplex world with multiple layers and actors. And now, emerging development partners are becoming increasingly important. They have been emphasizing the values such as equal partnership, mutual learning, and ownership. They also have accumulated diverse development experiences on the ground and then practical knowledge. In this context, traditional one-way knowledge sharing or technical transfer is no longer sufficient. Instead, we need to move towards knowledge co-creations, where diverse actors learn from each other in a mutual and horizontal manner. Because we know that development is an iterative process of learning and adoption, and diversity among actors enhances this development process. Therefore, I expect today's seminar will provide us with insights on how we could promote knowledge co-creation with emerging development partners. Now, let me illustrate an example of knowledge co-creations. Okay. Characters of knowledge co-creation example, the ARCH project in ASEAN regions. This is a good example of knowledge co-creation, and the project name stands for the project for strengthening the ASEAN regional capacity on disaster health management. It started in 2016, 10 years ago. Prior to that, in 2013, Japan's Prime Minister committed to establish a joint framework for disaster health management, initially to share Japan's rich knowledge and experiences as a disaster-prone country. It might have been started as one-way knowledge sharing or technical transfer, but eventually it has become a joint platform to co-create knowledge among ASEAN and Japan. In this project, Japan and ASEAN member states have jointly strengthened regional capacity for disaster health management. The key feature of this initiative is a process of mutual learning, as it is described in the title of this slide, which I got from the chief advisor of the project. It is about the development of knowledge management cycle for disaster health management with circulation of code development policy and procedures among the participating country for the joint exercises of the health management on the ground, and then conducting joint training exercises and the capacity building training programs. And They also created jointly practical tools and knowledge. Even they published the academic journal as the outcome of the joint activities. So in other words, knowledge and systems are not simply transfer, but shared in a circulative and interactive manner among the participating all the stakeholders. So Japan's experiences is combined with ASEAN countries' knowledge, generating new value, which I would describe as a public goods for disaster health management in Asia, not only in ASEAN or in Japan, but in Asia. This is a practical knowledge, example of knowledge co-creation in action. So finally, let me highlight the key messages of the policy note we published very recently based on our research activities. And then I hope that this will serve as a sort of basis for today's discussion. As I have already mentioned, we'd like to highlight first the importance of building a pluralistic and inclusive global development architecture. The second thing is that we need to shift from knowledge sharing to knowledge co-creations. Based on this, we proposed three actions. The first is to understand the diversity and dynamism of emerging partners. Second is to strengthen their institutional implementation capacity. Third is to create platform for dialogue, joint research, and knowledge exchange. Japan is uniquely positioned as a mature development partner with dual experiences as both as a recipient country and a provider of development cooperation. So by leveraging these strengths, I believe Japan can serve as a connector to bridge different values, norms, and actors. With that, I now would like to hand over to Professor Izumi Ono, who will be leading the panel discussion with outstanding speakers. I hope today's discussion will further deepen our understanding of knowledge co-creation practice. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kamei, Director General for the Ogata Research Institute, for kind introduction. So my name is Izumi Ono, and it is my great pleasure and honor to serve as a moderator of this panel discussion session. So Ms. Kamei shared very clearly and also concisely key points of the policy note with examples. So building on this background, let me explain a little bit more about the motivation and also guiding question for this panel discussion. And then I would like to also introduce the four distinguished panelists. Okay, next please. Please, yeah. Next page, please. Okay, yeah. My first point is there is a need to build developmental coalition between traditional and emerging development partners. As Ms. Kamei already mentioned, that the world is becoming increasingly multiplex, where diverse norms and value and actors coexist rather than unipolar or multipolar by superpowers. So aid cuts, especially US and Europe, and the geopolitical fragmentation are accelerating a search for future development cooperation architecture, like OECD and foundation and various things. I understand that the KDI is also participating in one of the coalition to discuss those issues. Also, I was also in Paris to discuss this OECD architecture issues. And today, no single actor can address complex challenges, as you know. And then neither can OECD DAC alone represent the full landscape of development cooperation, and also not only finance, but also development knowledge matters. And then, so the future of development cooperation depends on the building inclusive developmental coalition among diverse partners. We have to bring different experiences, knowledges together. Here, one critical question is how traditional and emerging development partners, which have a more recent development knowledge and experiences, can build developmental coalition drawing on the respective strengths. Next, please. Because there are still persistent divide between DAC and non-DAC donors, according to the recent research, and also our latest literature review indicate the existing global platform. For example, Busan High Level Forum made a brilliant kind of the achievement in discussing development effectiveness together, and that tried to lead to the global development effectiveness partnership. But still, there remain some kind of division. So yet that the existing global platform have not yet to build a common development cooperation architectures. On the other hand, on the ground, operationally, there are global growing expectation for triangular cooperation to bridge divides and scale up development solution. So we really feel like greater attention is needed to the practical how of cooperation, not only institutional architecture, but also the process through which local knowledge and capacity are generated, and also for the impact. So this is why we argue that we have to shift from knowledge sharing to knowledge co-creation, and this knowledge creation should build on the four maybe elements between traditional and also emerging development partners. First is reciprocities and mutual learning. This is related to the mindset and also approach. And also second is equal partnership. It's a relationship. The third is maybe the process and also capacity development to adapt, promote internalization of knowledges. And with this, create jointly the new knowledges. So this is a way we think that the knowledge co-creation could be very, very enhanced. Next, please. So based on this thinking, we'd like to discuss in this panel discussion this question in general. What are the key enablers and barriers to promote knowledge co-creation between traditional and emerging development partners? How can triangular cooperation be strengthened to facilitate knowledge co-creation rather than simply knowledge sharing? And then, what lessons can Asia's development experiences offer to the international community for advancing effective and inclusive development partnership? So, to this end, we have a really, next slide please, a distinguished expert from 4 people from different backgrounds. So let me introduce one by one. And also, I would like to ask you to show your face. Yeah. So Dr. Siripon, the Waruwaku, the professor Thammasat University in Thailand.
Yes, สวัสดีค่ะ Good
Sawadee-ka.
afternoon ค่ะ
Yeah. Dr. Jin Sato, Director and Professor, Institute of Advanced Studies in Asia.
Hello, nice to meet you, everyone.
Dr. Jung-wook Kim, Executive Director, Center for International Development, KDI, South Korea.
Good afternoon. I'm Jong Kim.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Mr. Norio Yonezaki Senior, he is advisor for Triangular Cooperation Unit, the American Caribbean Department of JICA.
Nice to
He's
meet you.
also Chief Advisor for Japan-Mexico Partnership Program, JICA. Yeah. We are very happy that he is here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let us start the panel discussion. Okay. So as a first round, okay, I hope to have a 3 round of discussion and then make that the floor open to the Q&A. So audience, if you have some questions, please feel free to submit your questions through Q&A box. So let me start with the first round. I'd like to invite each of the panelists to introduce briefly yourself and also from your perspective to share your maybe, views like based on your experience and also research, what do you think about the key enablers and barriers to promote knowledge co-creation between traditional and emerging development partners? And also, if you have any feedbacks or suggestions for our policy note, I would really appreciate. So, Siripon Sensei, would you like to start first for each 5 minutes?
Yes, thank you very much. And also thank you for inviting me to join this webinar and to share my ideas on the interesting topic. As Professor Ono already introduced, my name is Siripon Vachawalku. I'm teaching at Faculty of Political Science, Thammasat University, and my interest focuses on Japan foreign policy to Southeast Asia, particularly Japan development cooperation policy. I would like to respond to Ono Sensei question in this way. I think development eventually is the local matters. Therefore, the collaboration or knowledge co-creation between traditional donors and emerging providers should contribute to the local development in the recipient countries. So with this in mind, I think I would like to focus on the barrier for the collaboration between traditional donors and emerging providers. I think we can see the barrier from two perspectives, two dimensions. Technically, I think it's the fact that there are differences or gap between traditional donors and emerging providers. When I say differences and gap, this does not mean superior or inferior or better or worse. Actually, it's just differences, and it's necessary to address or recognize these differences. And actually, understanding these differences is very important for trust creation. I think the second barrier for both sides to collaborate for knowledge co-creation is trust deficit between two sides. And if we can overcome the technical problems, as I said, the differences, we can create trust, and trust will lead to the collaboration and also knowledge co-creation. So I think these two barriers are very important. Maybe the easiest one is to overcome the technical problems first, and then move to the political issues. The trust or trust deficit, to some extent, is political issue, but we can solve such kind of problem based on the technical problems. If you ask me about the ideas or comments for the policy notes that JICA I present, I mean Kamei-san just present. Actually, in the overall, I think these policy notes already address the important issue, that is the deep understanding about the diversity, strengthen the capacity building, and also disseminate the co-created knowledge. What I would like to add, particularly on the first strategic priority, is the element of respect. I think even we understand the diversity, maybe only understanding is not enough, but respect that diversity is really important. Once there is the respect on the differences or the gap, then we can move forward to create trust. So if possible, I would like the element of respect, the diversity, to be added into this strategic priority. The strategic priority number 2, I think, is already complete. Because human resources is really important for knowledge co-creation. For the last one, I think it would be good if we can add some new type of platform or space that traditional donor and emerging provider can work together. For example, if we think about the workshop, if we think about the international conference, can we add the element of digital or something like, electronics on that? For example, podcast or clip video that we can disseminate more, and we can recruit more researchers to work together. So I think that's all from me for this round. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sullivan. It's really wonderful to noting that the importance of the trust, in building trust, we need to respect that difference and diversity. That should be the basis to overcome. And also, I really appreciate your insight on the comment to the policy note. Okay, so let's go to the Mr. Senor Tonyezaki, yeah, from the Latin American perspective, yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Ono. My name is Yonezaki, Nori Yonezaki from JICA. I joined JICA 36 years ago, before all of you were born, and have spent more than 20 of those years working in Latin America. I was very influenced and maybe contaminated by Latin American people, covering the full cycle of international cooperation and programs from formulation to evaluation. And I currently serve as an advisor for Triangular Cooperation Unit in JICA Latin American and the Caribbean Department. And I'm now based in Mexico City. And according to this session, I would like to mention about the policy note first. Thank you very much for elaborating the excellent policy note about this tape. I believe that the policy note is extremely well developed and elaborated. But if I may suggest one additional point, I think we should strengthen the focus on outcomes and impact. Why outcomes and impact? Maybe we should not stop at the production of knowledge. So we need to examine how these outputs are actually implemented and utilized, and how they lead to tangible outcomes and social impact. And I think, moreover, since these outcomes should be beneficial to all participants, for example, in the project, they should have a high degree of public value and applicability. In this sense, I would propose that output of knowledge, practical co-creation, practical knowledge of co-creation be regarded as regional and global public goods. And I believe that such public goods, whether they are knowledge or services or solutions, can serve as effective prescriptions for addressing development challenges at the national, regional, and global levels. And talking about the highlight, I'd like to mention about 3 key points from my viewpoint. First of all, my first point concerns is evaluation. Latin America is widely recognized as a hub of South-Southern Triangle cooperation, and this is supported by shared language because most of the countries speak in Spanish, and the cultural proximity, and the long-standing of the regional integration. There are so many platforms for regional integration in Latin American countries. And it also benefits from unique sub-regional mechanisms, such as the Ibero-American Program for Strengthening South-South Cooperation, coordinated by General Secretariat of Ibero-American Summit, and composed of 22 countries. Through this platform, countries join developing regional strategies for South-South and Triangle cooperation regionally, and design new evaluation standards and engage in technical exchange to strengthen their cooperation agencies. And I would like to mention that according to this General Secretary, SEHIB data, because they have a database during the 2 decades about the South-South cooperation, approximately 10,000 South-South and Triangle cooperation projects have been implemented in the region since 2007. And in recent years, cooperation has also expanded, not only in the Latin American region, but involving more than 80 countries in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, and other parts of the world. But however, despite the large number of initiatives and projects, I think the verification and the evaluation of their result and impact have not been conducted sufficiently. And the visibility of effectiveness remains very, very limited. In addition, although many Latin American countries have established in 2 decades international cooperation agencies, they have more than 8 cooperation agencies in Latin America, but most of them do not have dedicated evaluation units. As a result, project evaluations for South-South Triangle cooperation are often carried out using methodologies and concepts developed by international organizations like JICA or traditional donors. They don't have a own evaluation system. So while knowledge sharing and co-creation are essential, we must also ask very simple but fundamental questions. How useful is the knowledge we are going to produce? It is very important to objectively verify its value and to ensure that it can serve as an effective prescription for addressing the challenge we face. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing your actual kind of perspective on the ground, the importance of evaluation. Maybe we can discuss even more in the coming the session. So can I ask the Professor Sato to sharing your perspective?
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ono. I'm really honored and delighted to be in one of the panelists here today, especially because I was involved in the early research of emerging donors in early 2000s, organized by JICA Research Institute when JICA Research Institute was just born. And the result of the research was published in a journal called World Development in 2011. So if you're interested, you can take a look at it. I'm I'm from the area studied institute called Institute for Advanced Studies on Asia, based at the University of Tokyo. One thing we are discussing recently is what we call Asianization of Asian studies. And this may seem quite paradoxical because we are based in Asia, and why do we have to talk about Asianization of Asian studies? It's simply because even Asian studies have been heavily influenced and dominated by the framework developed in the West. And so, and we didn't have enough kind of explicit awareness that our framework or assumptions have been influenced by the Western way of thinking. So in connection to today's discussion, I feel like we're talking about not necessarily Asianization, but the localization of development studies, which is very related to what we have been discussing in our institute. So coming to the question Professor Ono asked about the enablers and barriers, my response is that the crucial enabler is a trust-based stable political relationship between countries. And this is related to what Achan Siripon mentioned. I think development is a long-term relationship, and there needs to be trust, and there needs to be political foundation. And this is the foundation, and without it, we cannot proceed with all the technical things that we call development. So this to me is the foundational enabler. On the other hand, the significant barrier can be an excessive emphasis on national interest, which I think, as you know, is a very visible around the world, including Japan. And this becomes particularly complex for recipient countries, which must juggle and balance the various interests of multiple donors coming into their own country. For example, Cambodia, where I used to do research, they receive substantial aid from both Japan and China, in addition to Thailand for infrastructure development. Ultimately, this barrier needs to be mitigated by these institutional capacities of the recipient country. So recipient country government has a huge responsibility to balance different national interests coming into their country. So this is why I believe that we need to have integrate the perspective of the recipient countries in whatever study we do about emerging donors. On the policy note, while I think this is a well-rounded paper, I think it leaves very little room for it leaves some room for argument and contestation. For the sake of discussion, I would like to problematize the concept of learning itself. The policy note mentions mutual and equal learning. The big question is learning what, and who decides what should be learned. I suspect the underlying assumption here is learning from the development experience of each country. But this framing would naturally incline towards Japan's leadership given its extensive documented development experience. However, would this truly lead to equal learning? I doubt it. So I would suggest that Japan and emerging donors should move beyond merely learning from their own development experiences or what is already known. Instead, they should engage in joint learning about what is not yet known or not yet documented. For example, how can we sustain rural population amidst this constant trend of depopulation and urbanization? How can we simultaneously address climate change and secure energy needs? By jointly identifying new topics, we can begin to define what needs to be learned on an equal basis. So this is something that I hope the next version of the paper will address. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sato, for very critical points pointing out that, well, I think trust is, important, has been really shared widely. At the same time, learning what? Yeah. And then, what is the best practices? Yeah. And then also solution. It's not, that the past experience may not solve current problem. We didn't have a climate change, for example, before. So I think they're very critical question you have raised. Okay, so I hope we can deeper in these questions. And then let's invite Dr. Kim. I think you have a really rich experience of that knowledge sharing program, but I really welcome that your perspective of this policy note and also barriers and also enablers. Yeah, and then we can go deeper in the next round. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ono, Professor Ono. So I'm Jong Kim at Korea Development Institute, and I'm responsible for managing knowledge sharing program for the over 2 decades. So I got some comments on the policy notes. Basically, I agreed upon those points made by the Professor Sato. So we need to identify some of the ways to share and co-create the knowledges and taking care of some of the challenging issues over the globe. I'd like to point out 3 points of the knowledge co-creation. First one is we need a partner. So with the appropriate partners, we can share something, we can co-create, and we can enhance our understanding on the important agendas. It could be learning by doing, we could be start from the small and to extend to the big things. But picking up and selecting right partner is most challenging part of the knowledge co-creation. And the second point is, we need to identify some of the subjects, topics, agenda, which will be shared and co-created. That means the subject of the co-creation is somewhat the spectrum of the topics, but we need to select the appropriate agendas with the right partners. That means we need a way to sort out some of the priority. We need sort out some of the consensus building stages so that we should really identify the urgent agendas or topics for the partner countries, even Japan or Korean context. So that is another way. The third point is we need vehicle. We need venue or method to co-create those knowledges in solid way. That means the knowledge co-creation needs resources. Then we need leadership to get a network to be mobilized for the knowledge co-creation. Also, we need knowledge leadership who is going to the lead in setting the agenda, setting the milestones, and getting the knowledge deliverable to the partner countries or global society. Also, we need political leadership. That means we need implementation of the knowledge co-creation as well as making a bigger the impact to the society. So those leadership is needed, and this is not possible without the solid the framework or vehicles to be apparent to the stakeholders. So leadership is needed, and that is how we identify with the priority and building up the establishing and enhance the consensus with the partner countries. Also, we try to enhance to the not just westernized way, rather oriental or even some of the mixture of those cultural or political, even economical way to deliver some of the ultimate goals. So this, I think, the point was set out by Professor Sato. The evaluation thing is missing, then we cannot guarantee the ultimate goal is addressed. That means with the goal upon the consensus, then we can mobilize our resources with the solid venue of the delivery. And the final outcome is knowledge co-creation and deliverable to the society or maybe daily life of the citizens. So that is somewhat more the agendas or more points to be reflected to the future policy notes, I believe. So partners and choosing the right subjects or topics, also identify some of the vehicles or methodology for the knowledge co-creation that should be more apparent, more explicit in the note and recommendations, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that important perspective, because I think how to identify that kind of priorities. I think this is also related to also Professor Sato's mention about that problem. That the current new problem. There are many emerging new issues are coming in. So how can we, and those different perspectives by different maybe stakeholders. So how can we forge the consensus in working, this is the priorities and how to engage them. And then leadership, not only political leadership, but also probably societal or also community leadership is also important. So how we can mobilize it. This is a very important issue. Thank you very much for sharing this. Okay, so let's move to the second round for more deeper question to the individual speakers. So may I maybe go back to the Shiripon Sensei? Yeah. So you talked about the importance of trust and also respecting the diversities and also importance of maybe kind of platform which is also in the digital on the AI world. So you did case study on Japan, Thailand, and triangle cooperation, and then maybe you have identified some challenges and also maybe good points related to what you have mentioned before. Is there any maybe specific maybe experience you can share, and also what is maybe way to go in order to really advance this triangle cooperation ongoing to even further based on that point you mentioned?
Okay, thank you for the question, Kap. Let me explain a bit about the project that I select. Actually, this is the regionally based triangular cooperation project, meaning that it's the collaboration between Japan, Thailand, and the recipient countries or the beneficiaries, actually, ASEAN members. So it is mainly ASEAN project with the Japan as the traditional donor and Thailand is the pivotal country. And we select 3 projects, HACCBC, this is about the cybersecurity, AUNCNet, this is about the education, and APCD. This is the project that support this ability. I think from my perspective and also from the research that I conduct, I think triangular cooperation, particularly the regionally based triangular cooperation, can be a model for knowledge co-creation, because it's among these 3 parties that work together and create the knowledge which is utilized and fit fit with the conditions of the recipient countries. I think the good practice that I found from these three projects, they share the same, characteristic. First is consultative base. I think this is the key thing in order to build trust and also to strengthen the ownership of the project. So, because triangular cooperation include many, parties, and within country, for example, in the pivotal countries like Thailand, it includes not only the counterparts but also operating units, and also the implementing unit in Thailand. So in this case, consultative base is really important, and to select or recruit the beneficiaries, the consultative based mechanism is also very important. And there are several ways to conduct the consultative based discussion. For example, APCD use survey, HACCBC use survey and also meeting. So this kind of consultative base is a good practice. The second point for the good practice, I think the objective of the triangular cooperation, particularly the regionally based. I think these kind of project aim not only to strengthen three individual countries, but the purpose is to strengthen regional cooperation, regional integration, and regional development. So the purpose of the project contribute to the regional integration eventually, because it's strengthen the capacity building that lessen the gap between ASEAN members. So I think this is a good practice. Of course, challenges there is a huge challenges among these three projects. I think effectiveness is the key challenges, particularly when we talk about ownership, because this is triangular cooperation, and the beneficiaries, the recipient countries come from ASEAN members. Then the point is that when we ask about ownership of the project, where the ownership belongs to, to the pivotal country like Thailand or other country of ASEAN, or when we talk about the representative of ASEAN, which country is the representative or which organization is the representative. This point is really important because it's related to the sustainability of the project. Even the knowledge which is created by all these the project and also from these members is good for member countries, but it doesn't mean that the project will be continued after the termination of aid. So I think this is the critical issue, the effectiveness, particularly the ownership question. The role and function and also degree of involvement of actors. This is also another critical challenges, because when there are many actors, stakeholders, of course, leadership is important. But as I said, who would be the leader in this project? Of course, so far from the study, I found that the role of Japanese side and the role of Thailand side as a pivotal country, actually they try to work together, but there's still some shortcuts in the process. So in order to overcome all these, in order to improve triangular cooperation to be better mechanism, I think there are two ways when we think about this. One way is we know challenges, so we try to overcome the challenges. To overcome the challenges means maybe we have to strengthen partnership, we have to enhance ownership, put it simply, support the pivotal countries in order to manage the project better. So this is one way. Another way is, instead of overcome the challenges which may be difficult, we can emphasize or bring out the merit of triangular cooperation and promote it more. For example, the merit of triangular cooperation, particularly from the three projects that I study, is regional standard. Regional standard can be set up through this kind of, knowledge sharing among ASEAN members, particularly from the project like HACCBC. The code of conduct for cybersecurity maybe is one thing. Business-driven triangular cooperation. The case of APCD is interesting to involve private sector to support the project. Once the project cannot get support from, let's say, from a traditional donor, but private sector can support more and the project can be continued. So I think bring out and promote the strength or the merit of triangular cooperation can be, the way or the solution that support triangular cooperation for knowledge co-creation in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I understand that you worked on that the triangular cooperation, that the Japan and Thailand worked together for the ASEANs, that addressing ASEAN challenges, right? Yeah, and so that
Yes.
in that context, you really felt like trust is important, and also the objective have been shared widely, have to be shared widely among the ASEAN members. I think this is what Sato Sensei said, that the only national interest driven, maybe project may not be widely accepted, and then trust may not be built. So this is, I think, an important point you also mentioned, and how to bring also much more wider actors in the private sector. So thank you so much for your sharing. Okay, so let's go to the maybe Latin American countries, because I think Mr. Yonezaki already mentioned about the importance of not only producing knowledge, but also to see how the outcome can be generated, and that should be also systematized for the evaluation. But so would you like to comment further on this? At the same time, Latin America is also very much well known about the circular cooperation. I think this is really the very much kind of the widely discussed, and also maybe new concept has been born from Latin America by, for example, Mr. Glenny, right? Yeah. So could you explain a little bit about how this circular cooperation is, and also how this is related to the knowledge co-creation, and also how this is different from maybe conventional triangular cooperation, and also what kind of role maybe Japan can also learn to enhance its existing approach?
Thank you very much, Ms. Ono. I think the big difference between the conventional triangular cooperation and the circular cooperation, new model type of the triangular cooperation, is the reversibility of roles. Traditional triangular cooperation has been based on traditional vertical structure. North provides resources, the emerging country provides expertise, and the southern partner receives support. But I think this fixed division role must change. And the countries should be able to act sometimes as providers or recipients or facilitators, depending on the context of the project. In Latin American countries, we learned many from the Latin American countries because, as I said before, they have established a regional platform named by Ibero-American South-South Cooperation Program. And in this program, they have been implementing the new concept named by more than tree and co-laboratory, in Spanish, más que tres, y colaboratorio, highlighting that most South-South and triangular cooperation project in Latin America actually involves more than 3 actors, and these projects increasingly include local government, civil society, organization, and other multi-actor partners. And this shift from simple knowledge sharing to co-creation is accelerating. So from JICA, we have developed the concept of circular cooperation. It means cooperation involving more than 3 partners, and where the result and the knowledge generated are shared among all, And also the key point is that where Japan also benefits, Japan as a runner. This represents a new form of partnership, one that goes beyond the traditional model in which traditional donors simply finance South-South cooperation. So and also it helps clarify JICA's role to strengthen our accountability to the Japanese public by demonstrating that Japan to gains value through circular cooperation. And it is very significant to mention that several countries in Latin America have already expressed to our JICA their interest to sharing and transferring their strengths and knowledge to Japanese society. For example, Colombia has offered its experience in peace building. Uruguay has proposed sharing its advanced approach to aging policy. And in case of Mexico, has shown interest in contributing its experience in migration and refugees management. So there are the very the new areas that where Japan is now facing major challenges, and we are exploring new forms of cooperation which Japan also participates as a runner, so a beneficiary, within a more circular model. Another important trend in Latin American countries is a shift from cooperation led mainly by central government to approaches that draw on the strengths and knowledge from local government. Many countries are now promoting decentralized cooperation, in Spanish, cooperación descentralizada, and expanding collaboration that involves municipalities and civil society organizations. So in line with this trend, I believe that the Japanese local government can also engage in international cooperation, and not only as a provider, but also as a runner, as well as to explore a solution to challenges they face. And the problem is that until now, JICA has tended to view Japanese municipalities and the civil society as providers of technical expertise for international cooperation. But Japanese local governments themselves are confronting a wide range of issues locally. I think it is very valuable for them not only to contribute as providers, but also to participate as runners, benefiting from the knowledge and the experienced partners in Global South. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very the interesting point. You mentioned that the Japan should be also learning from the issue like how to harmonize the society, peace building, aging society. This is also related to how to identify that these the knowledge we want to really learn. Can I just ask that the question? So how the okay, aging issues and peace building issues, Colombia, Uruguay offered to work with Japan. How did you start identifying those issues? Yeah, and also you talked about that local government involvement. There was some questions submitted before this seminars. There was a city-to-city cooperation. So how do you think that the Japanese cities, local government, and then maybe in the case of your project, the American government cities have been connected? How did you formulate this project? Briefly.
Can I speak in 5 minutes or 1 minute? 2 minutes. Yeah, as you know that JICA, in the field of triangular cooperation, we have been implementing the seminars, workshops, or some kind of matching event to engage between the necessity and priority areas. But it was very difficult to promote the matchmaking between the interest and the demands. For example, in case of aging, why the aging issue is important for in the field of the circular cooperation. I think from my viewpoint is that the aging issue is a very, very priority issue in Japan. So to promote the circular cooperation, for us, it is extremely important that identify what kind of issues the Japanese society, especially Japanese local government, is now facing. So the priority areas such as aging and gender equality and immigration So they are so priority areas, and we identified with Latin American countries. So, for example, in case of Colombia, we have received some kinds of request from 3 years ago, but Japan, as a JICA, is not prepared to identify which local government in Japan is able to share the experience. So recently, I am in Japan to realize some visit for local government. So I was with my colleagues here in some local government to ask the local government what kind of interest do they have. So the process of matchmaking, I think, is very important.
Thank you very much. I really feel like that the role of that maybe third party, neutral party who can understand that the both situation, Latin American strengths and also uniqueness at the same time, that the challenge Japan is facing, that kind of maybe external actor, third actor, honest broker is very, very important. Yeah. Thank you so much. So maybe let me turn to the Sato sensei, because you really raise a very fundamental challenges that are facing the promoting knowledge co-creation, including how to build trust and how to identify that the priority issues for the among the country and societies. So if you could maybe go more in deeper, that would be very much appreciated. And also I think Mr. Yonezaki's point is, I think kind of the result of outcome of that the cooperation could also benefit Japan, but that may be in the long term, maybe Japanese national interest. But in that aspect, maybe you also talk about that maybe a little bit excessive emphasis of national interest. So how can we balance those issues? What do you think about the sustainability of working together for this knowledge, the co-creation? And also, I also would like to ask you the role of the universities, because you talked about that the importance of the Asianization of Asian studies. And there are also some questions about that how can we foster local knowledges in the country or in the education system, even if we talk about localization, knowledge co-creation. If there is kind of system is very weak, try to localize that the foreign models to adapt it to your countries. This may not be work. So how can we that strengthen that kind of social system to localization? If you have any thought about it, that would be appreciated.
Thank you so much. I think I need like 2 hours to respond to all those questions. I have very quick point for Yonezaki-san, which maybe we can touch on later when we have time. It seems to me that the Latin American case, people can share, the sharing is more smooth because of the Spanish language commonality. Whereas in Southeast Asia, people are, in my understanding, mostly using English, which is their second language. And I think it sometimes makes it difficult to communicate. But maybe that's something that we can talk about later. So connecting with national interest and all the ideas that governments or JICA or exporters of idea want to share, they usually choose some marketable ideas based on positive development experience. So in Japanese case, for example, like Kaizen, right? We proudly present Kaizen. Although if you look at the history, much of the history of Kaizen was imported from the United States. It's now branded as Japanese model. My question is, well, my point is, however, we have not been good at capitalizing on failures, what we have done badly in development. So for example, when Japan exported its industrial model to Thailand, I think Chan Siripon knows very well, the Eastern Seaboard development in 1980s, which was modeled after Japanese coastal development. It did not quite include consideration on pollution issue. So the pollution became a huge issue in Thailand. And I wonder if there was enough sort of uh, preparation and input into this negative experience when Japan exported the model. I wonder the pollution issue could have been mitigated when no one knows. But I think we're not so good at making failures as assets. I have been involved in JICA project evaluation handled by Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Japan. And whenever I go to the meeting and we highlight all the critical points, JICA staff, they are very defensive and they come up with all the justification why they do this and that, which is fine. But I think the point is not to criticize, but to learn and to improve for the future. And I think the culture of evaluation is not yet kind of grounded and kind of integrated into our way of thinking. When we get criticized, we tend to be very defensive. And I'm not trying to just attack JICA, but all the society itself, we're not really ready to do a real evaluation, in my view. So this is a huge challenge for our society as a whole. Japan's comparative, I want to point out one point on Japan's comparative advantage, and I think it lies in the emphasis on prevention, or what I call preemptive development, 予防的開発. This is another area that needs to be leveraged within development industry. By preemptive development, I mean going beyond mere problem solving to emphasize activities that prevent problems from escalating. When you see situation in Ukraine or Middle East, we know that once things escalate, we can't do anything, right? But we can invest our ideas and knowledge and effort in preventing problems from happening. I think that is the area. And Japan has been very good in terms of very grounded healthcare or education, preventing, mitigating natural disasters. I think we have a lot of experience, but I think those preemptive development experiences have been very segmented in sectors, right? So health sectors, we have one type of prevention, education, one type, peace building, disaster, one type. So I think there needs to be sort of a common thread. We can sort of compare, the experience of different sectors to come up with more of a overall idea, because I think that is Japan's strength. But of course, emphasizing prevention is not easy because it is difficult to, because we don't know what prevents what, right? We were not fortune tellers, so we don't know what about the future. So this is a challenge. But I think Japan has sufficient experience to document and analyze how prevention can work cross-sectorally. So I think we should go beyond problem solving to mitigating problem, and this is the point I want to make. On universities, I think what happened in the United States, the dismantling of USAID, has a lot to do with the lack of constituents, the lack of support by the American public for USAID. I think if you look at Japan, we have, especially in the 1980s when I was a student, there was a lot of criticism against foreign aid and ODA, and that really ignited a lot of public interest. I wanted to study why good foreign aid is not working. Why are we so much criticized and things like that? So I think we need more stimulus to the public. We need to teach about, or we need to talk about development and foreign aid in our classrooms. I think universities have a huge role to sort of nurture constituency. And then not just universities, but media alongside civil society organization. Because it's not the question of what they know about development, but they have to be interested, right? There has to be something interesting going on so that they pay attention. And I think that kind of interesting debate is lacking today. Maybe we need someone like Otani Shohei that people can pay attention to development. We used to have like Ogata Sadako or Nakamura Tetsu, the icons of development. Maybe that's one way to attract attention. But we need to resort to different ways to get the public interested in this topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really totally agree. And also, I think that the experience Japan is now facing, like maybe we are facing what maybe how we can really kind of get support or understanding of the importance of international development, connectivity, globally. I think that kind of lessons maybe emerging donors may face eventually in the future. So those kind of how the development would be can be deeply rooted in a society or countries. Important role of education and also learning from the childhood. Those things probably we could also share that in the future. Okay, Dr. Kim, sorry for keep you waiting, but we would like to ask you many questions. For example, there are, of course, we would like to learn from the KDI and also Korea's experience of really implementing KSP and also what you are heading in the future or even now. And also many people emphasize the importance of evaluation and also outcome. I think as an economist, and also you have a very much kind of experience of the evaluating the various activity of the maybe Korean government and also others. Could you also share your insight of that how this outcome of knowledge cooperation can be measured? Is there any methodology and also example? Please, yeah.
Thank you. It's a really challenging question, how to evaluate the outcome of the knowledge sharing or knowledge co-creation. Over the two decades, we are dedicated to knowledge sharing activities. Now, we found out there is some of the gaps, such as implementation gap as well as knowledge gap. That means implementation gap indicates that not just basic knowledge, rather the partner countries, developing countries wants to be real implementation stage of the infrastructure as well as experiences and knowledges. So it's mobilizing resources for implementation is ultimate goal. However, just the knowledge or textbook style of the deliverable is not enough for the developing countries or partner countries. So that is implementation gap. And also we found out that there is an expectation gap as well. That means, for instance, like interest in AI or digital ecosystem is rising actually with a rapid speed, but the partner country is are keen to implement those AI or building up the ecosystem, but they are not so ready in institutional or infrastructure way. That means there is a really big gap between what they try to implement or what are really ready for those changes or knowledges. So that is expectation gap as well. So to understand those gaps, we can identify some of the right partners with the appropriate subject, of course. That's what we are taking of current status. And as Benazaki-san states, this is what we suffer a lot. That means there is their own way, their context or their culture, their historical basis for the knowledges or knowledge-making procedures and their top agendas. And try to understand each other is really challenging, but we need more input on those building upon the consensus and building upon the better understanding to each other. That is what we need. And then we can move on the evaluation or setting up the ultimate goals. So, because evaluation is really contextual or it's really subjective rather than objective. That means most of the knowledge sharing and knowledge co-creation is somewhat qualitative rather than quantitative. That means number of activities, number of participants, number of seminars. That is not the right measure for the evaluation. Rather, we should do some of the deep survey or interview and to try to mobilize our deepen understanding how to evaluate, how to get track of the knowledge creation and sharing stages. So that is somewhat unpaved way for the evaluator as well as the implementator of the knowledge co-creation. So that is still missing, I think, and we should share more. And the aging population is somewhat unpaved way. I think the evaluating those knowledge co-creation or knowledge sharing is also unpaved. That means the countries such as Korea and Japan, even United States and other European countries should cooperate on identify the right methodology of the evaluation, I think. And one way we try to do those things is utilizing AI. That means gathering some of the evidence of the knowledge sharing and knowledge co-creation for over 2 decades and get the machine or AI the educated and train those data and then identify some of the methodology, but only with the explainable way. That means not just assign the job of the evaluation to the machines or AI. Rather, we try to understand why this is the right track, why this is the right method, and what is the key performance indicators for these activities, and make a right adjustment step by step, and then getting the right or appropriate the evaluation for the certain activities or projects. So that's what we try to do. And also another venue of the cooperation is getting shake hands with the developed countries. That means we have knowledge sharing program with the United Kingdom, Poland, also Hungary, and Sweden, and Australia. Those countries are not traditional the countries for the knowledge sharing partners. However, uh, in the lack of the knowledge, we cannot do anything. That means we should mobilize our knowledge network and enhance the network, also expand those countries so that we can enhance our knowledges and we try to better for knowledge co-creations with the partners. And then we can move on another stage of the sharing knowledges, also identify the problems and agendas in the partner countries context. So that's what we try to do. That means utilize the advanced technologies, also connect with the advanced countries so that we can enhance our knowledge activities toward the knowledge co-creation. So that is what we can say about based upon the Korean experience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing the latest development. Actually, there was a question because, for example, right now that we are in the age of AI and governance, digital technologies, and so, I mean, nobody has a clear answer or definite solution. So how in that context can we do knowledge co-creation? But I think that your point is that one of the issues that you're working with sort of not limited to the global south countries. You're also working with maybe global north countries and then try to think together and learning each other. So you are now expanding this kind of traditional KSP's approach to much more widely, and then not just sharing Korean experiences, but I think Korean experience can be a part of the maybe I'd say that the issues which you can discuss and share, and then on the basis of creating new knowledges. So thank you so much for really touching upon these issues, and also I really think that you talked about the contextual the aspect is very important for evaluation. So I think we just cannot rely on that the only quantitative. We have to really think about in a much more various way. But maybe time horizon is also important because, as Mr. Yonezaki said, that well, in order to have an outcome, it will take some time. So how can we identify that the knowledge which we want to learn together and how we want to make something happen then how we want to see that the society is actually changing and then benefiting mutually. That is a really, I think, important issue, but a challenging issue. But I think we need to think about those process and methodology more clearly. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go to the, I hope, one more round very quickly, maybe looking at the more broadly and also globally, how the discussion we are making currently in that changing point of the world, how maybe each of us or the expense can to contribute. So because currently we are in a very much turning point, and then many discussion going on at the international level of thinking about the future of development cooperation. It's a pity that the US has to withdraw this kind of the landscape, but there is an opportunity that the more, in a sense, freely Latin American voices or Asian voices can be more, I think, heard in the international community. So I hope this will also provide opportunity for us to think how that we can enhance the current way of doing. So, Mr. Yonezaki, so from your perspective with the deep Latin American experiences, what lessons or what kind of contribution Japan together with Latin America can make to this global development? You already mentioned that, yeah, triangular cooperation and that circular cooperation,
Right.
we can do more. Yeah.
わかりました。Thank you very much. From my experience, I think it is a very difficult problem question. But in my experience, I think the greatest success factor in Latin America is not institutional design, but the quality of human relationship. As Professor Sato said before, in the Latin American region, there is a similarity of language, cultural background. It is one of the important factors to promote the triangular or circular cooperation. But I learned from many of the Latin American country people that human relationship is a successful key point, I think. Shared language enable to close communication and help trust building. As Professor Sirpon said before, trust building, which is a true foundation of cooperation. Even with improved system or mechanism or innovation of modality of the triangular cooperation, the triangular cooperation or circular cooperation involves multiple actors and high transaction cost. Traditionally speaking, the South-South and the triangular cooperation has been said that generated transaction cost. But through circular cooperation, so as I mentioned before, reversibility of the roles, it is a key point, I think. I'm once again that reminded that human relationship and trust are the heart of effective international cooperation. And also I would like to mention about the knowledge co-creation is actually clearly accelerating in recent years in any kinds of international conference and the seminars. They mentioned about the horizontality, equality, co-creation, mutual understanding. But in the context of South-South triangle cooperation, we often see projects being influenced by each country's national interest and policies, and especially diplomatic priorities. So as a result, projects sometimes concentrate in more visible trendy areas, like climate change, for example. So with many different actors involved, a wide range of projects are being formulated. While this is a positive sign of growing engagement, it also means that a similar project can emerge in parallel without sufficient coordination. So from a broader perspective, those projects are not always well connected to each other, so that which can limit their overall impact and the synergy between projects. It is also important to acknowledge that while knowledge co-creation is ideal approach, it's not always easy to achieve. So as I said before, each country has its own interests and priorities. So the coordination can take time and effort. So given this situation, I think strengthening evaluation and learning and the visualization of the effect, outcome, or impact, especially important. We must avoid the duplication of effort by different donors or actors and reduce the risk of repeating the same mistakes, because we have generated also the lesson learned and make better use of our collective experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspective. And then may I go to maybe the Silpon Sensei? Yeah. Okay. Based on your discussion and also your experience working in Japan, Thailand, also ASEAN, what kind of maybe contributions well that you think that Thailand and also Japan and also together with ASEAN can do in the international community? The other thing is that I have a specific question. There are questions that may be interest on that in order to really to have a trust, both party, traditional donors and also the emerging partners also have to change the mindset of kind of building the partnership. So how do you think that this mindset change can be brought about based on your observation?
Thank you very much for the question. I go by this way. I think there are two keywords that I would like to emphasize. The first one is partnership, particularly equal partnership or horizontal partnership. I think the horizontal partnership between traditional donors and emerging providers is really important because these open the room, the space for discussion and project formulation together. Ownership, I think this is also very important, as I said, for the sustainability of the project. Return to my first sentence when I start talking in this webinar is development at the end is the local matter. So in this sense, I think it's necessary for both traditional donors and also emerging providers to think from the local perspective, particularly the local perspective of providers, I mean emerging providers and also the recipient countries. I think based on these, when we develop the project, the field-based project formulation process is really important. So I think both sides, traditional donors and emerging providers, have to think from the real situation and the real needs of providers and also the recipient countries. Additionally, when we talk about the evaluation, I think this is also very important. All three projects that I study, actually the evaluation mainly focus on project evaluation. I think it's necessary, as many of panelists today talk about that, we have to make the evaluation beyond the project evaluation. And there are several ways that we can think about the methodology of evaluation, for example, theory-based evaluation or utilization-based evaluation or objective-based evaluation. And I think for the case of triangular cooperation, South-South and triangular cooperation, maybe utilization-based evaluation is important because we have to look at the local, I mean, the needs and also the supply, the demand and supply matching. So in this sense, I think the utilization-based evaluation can respond to the question what the user, what the recipient needs, what the providers have, and what the traditional donors can support. So in this sense, the evaluation can, improve the process of cooperation or knowledge co-creation among three parties. For Japan, I think as a traditional donor, Japan has more experience than emerging providers in Southeast Asia. Then Japan may share the experience that Japan has, particularly many emerging providers in Asia like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia would like to learn not just only the existing knowledge or the success that Japan have, but to work together to create some new knowledge which is fit for Southeast Asia, and also the cooperation between Japan and Southeast Asia, because Japan is also a dialogue partner of of ASEAN. So I think the point that I would like to emphasize here is Japan should support the pivotal country, strengthen the pivotal country so that the pivotal country can be the bridge between traditional donors and also the recipient, and even among the the pivotal country together. So I think that is the role for Japan that I see. Last question, to change the mindset of traditional donors. I think this is really critical. Maybe there are two ways. One way is to discuss more, talk more with the traditional donors. But on the other hand, I think from the pivotal country, from the emerging providers, we also have to show intention, and also not only showing intention but also strengthen ourselves so that we can discuss equally with the traditional donor. So I think requesting from traditional donor one way may not possible, but we have to do two ways. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So really, communication and working together on, but I think that
Yeah.
really need that the mindset change. Both parties are very, very important. Yeah, thank you so much. Maybe similar question to Sato Sensei, because you already mentioned about maybe Japanese maybe comparative advantages, what Japan should strengthen more, but you could elaborate a little more in the context of maybe international, maybe development communities perspective.
Thank you. I just speaking on Japan and Thailand, especially because Professor Siripon is here, I want to emphasize the value of working together for a long time. If you look at the history of Thai-Japan relationship, there has been a lot of criticism against Japan in the 1970s and against Japanese ODA in the 1980s. One of the interesting criticism that Japan received in the 80s is that Japan's aid is tied aid, and therefore all the aid is flowing into the Japanese company in Thailand. Now, if you look at what Thailand is doing today, the Thailand and the NEDA has a tied aid, right? So they are doing the things that they criticized 30 or 40 years ago, which means and that's part of learning, and donors, the providers change, right? So it's part of learning. And for example, Professor Siripon, who got degree in Japan in Nagoya, is now leading the development studies in Thailand. So this is another long-term product of our the relationship between two countries. So because I always wonder when I land in the Suvarnabhumi airport in Bangkok and try to change my Japanese yen to Thai baht, and I always get devastated because our currency value is going down and down. And you see all the Yoshinoya and all the Japanese restaurant, which is now even more expensive than what you can get in Tokyo. So what is JICA doing in Bangkok? The Thailand is even richer than Japan, it seems. But again, this is a kind of we have to see this in a long-term trend. The emphasis now is not just on Thailand, but on the region. And we're talking more about the Mekong region, for example. And Mekong region has a lot of issues, common issues, including migration, health issues, and climate change, and so on and so forth. So the problems change, we change, and we have to really we have to accommodate these changes. And so my point is that we have to appreciate the long-term relationship and what we could do because of the long-term relationship between different countries. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I agree. So the Dr. Kim, also would like to welcome that maybe South Korea's thinking about how your country itself and also KDI can kind of is thinking about to play a kind of global contribution you are already doing. If you can share your thinking and also action ongoing, that would be appreciated. And also, how do you think that in this AI and age, how Korean experiences can be maybe effectively utilized?
Okay, thank you for the question. I'm thinking of our situation right now. So the basically knowledge sharing program in the institute is somewhat knowledge co-creation. And in some sense, that means we formulated team with the partner countries. For instance, I was in charge of the Indonesian government's knowledge sharing program. So with Indonesia, the reforming state-owned enterprises and making right methodologies to evaluate SOEs, the agenda, because Indonesian government already applied for the membership of the OECD, and the recommendation by the OECD is somewhat reforming SOEs and evaluating SOEs in the right manner. So based upon the Korean context, we formulated a team consists of the Korean experts and Indonesian government officers who are in charge of the SOE's reform. So for 8 months to the 1 year, we already implemented those knowledge co-creation, try to understand each other side and finding out the knowledges in contextual way to address those issues, make a deliverable outcomes as a publication. So it's a traditional way to implement the knowledge sharing program for one year. So it's we believe that it's the right method for the knowledge sharing or knowledge creation, knowledge co-creation, and knowledge enhancing. But the problem is that the knowledge in the past or knowledge is based upon Korean development history is no longer valid. That means the implementation stages, the advanced technology, including AI or demand-driven technology or transport or smart cities, smart factories, even quantum, those ones are somewhat demanding the agendas by the partner countries. It's also ICT or fintech areas. So we are various fields will be taken care of by the Korean expertise and the global expertise as well. So from my experiences and some of the experts which I accumulated, the most demanding area is finding out the partners for knowledge co-creation. It's not just in a way to cooperate with the some Japan and other countries in Latin America or other developing countries. Rather, the developed countries who should initiate those knowledge sharing activities, knowledge creating the activities should take the lead in and shake the hands on those important agendas. So it's really urgent and also mandating by the by considering the speed of change in the on the globe, also emerging the challenges or risks over the global society. So that's what we try to cooperate more. I mean, I don't know whether it's like appropriate time to make a suggestion to JICA especially, but I strongly recommend JICA should take the lead on those knowledge co-creation with Korea, maybe Taiwan, even United States, or European countries, so that we can we can mobilize our experts more and identify more appropriate knowledges deliverable to the demanding partner countries and global society. So knowledge is somewhat global goods. That means that should be consumed by global society. But it's possible only if we process it and make deliverable in right manner on time. So that is mandated for the knowledge co-creation and should be reflected in the policy notes in the future, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much for really kind also that wonderful invitation to JICA and also that our colleagues for the working together with South Korea and also other partners in this knowledge co-creation is going to be a very, very important topic. So I really appreciate we should keep going. Okay, so maybe I should also invite well, I should move to the open to the question to the floor. So let us discuss several questions which have been raised. So Ms. Kamei, yeah, you can also join. And also, let me just share my perspective. I really feel like this maybe the panel discussion brought a lot of fundamental issue about knowledge co-creation and particularly knowledge. What kind of knowledge we are talking about? The various types of knowledge I think we would like to share. Some of the technical knowledge for like, guideline for environmental regulation or debt management, social safety guard, operational, maybe how to kind of work on partner countries. Those kind of technical things are also important, but also sector and also society specific solution. But those kind of issues are really keep changing. And also Japan is also changing. The partner countries are also changing. So how we identify that the knowledge is to work together, that is really the important issue, I think, which has been raised in this the session. And also, I also learned that the failure itself can be an asset. So development experience is not only the successful one, all the package or history we have shared, and also long-term relationship and also accumulation of the human networks that itself have a very, very important, I think, asset. So I think when we think about that the knowledge co-creation, what kind of knowledge we are talking about, different types, and then AI and digital, there is no solution yet found, but let's keep working together and engaging together and thinking technology and then try to work on that way to go. So this is a very important things. The other is process of knowledge co-creation. That is a methodology of learning, adapting, internalizing, and scaling up. Those maybe methodology, I think we learned a lot from circular cooperation of Latin American experiences. So now this is a time to institutionalize this. It's that already practical experience are there, but this is a time to really learn it and then try to institutionalize it, create some system to work together. But evaluation for everybody talked about that's very, very important. So this is I think important things. The another things which I really felt important is that maybe global governance, because there are different types of the knowledges, and also maybe do we need some norms or who judge whose knowledge is more relevant or superior to other knowledges. So far in the OECD Development Assistance Committee, is that fair that the traditional donors, I think that the traditional donors mean that the US or European countries, including G7 and also EU countries, recently Western countries, and also Japan and Korea are the member of DAC, which work on certain norms of OECD DAC. But there are many, many other countries, including Thailand, Indonesia, Turkey, which have extensive cooperation, but are not a member of DAC. So we are talking about how we can kind of collaborate those emerging partners. So, but who decide the norms and governance of this knowledge. That is maybe another important things. And then there are also talking about the systematic way of knowledge sharing and co-creation. There is the importance of creating those places together. So how can we do it? So this is the kind of things I really learned a lot. Okay, so and having said that, let me maybe share some of the questions which have been raised, and then I may not be able to respond to all the, we are not maybe able to respond all the questions, but let me go selectively, taking advantage of Ms. Kamei's presence. Yeah. I'd like to ask, maybe there are questions about is there any methodology and also the theory for knowledge creation? Yeah, accumulated. And then, is there any, I think JICA has done a lot in capacity development issues and also triangular cooperation issues. And so after listening to this discussion, do you think, is there anything that the JICA has already maybe built in that yeah, through the researches. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the questions. Of course, as Mr. Yonezaki already shared, we have already accumulated experiences in triangular cooperation, South-South cooperations. So I believe we can further build on, to develop the equal partnership or, for the knowledge co-creations in coming years. But the question was about the, asking about the theory, but, we have not come up with the clear theory or, tangible, rigid framework to promote the knowledge co-creations with emerging partners. But listening to the very candid and very interesting discussions, I at least could confirm that the JICA could facilitate the process, based on the trust we have been building from the long-standing, history of corporations for the last 60 or 70 years. So we could connect emerging development partners to the other recipient countries or even to the so-called traditional dark donors, as a sort of catalyst. So I'm very much encouraged by the all the comments and the suggestions shared by the our very panelists in this discussion. So I think we can further move forward to the as a catalyst of the connecting the emerging partners and the other partners and many different actors in different layers. Thank you very much.
Is there any other people who want to share that, the maybe methodology or, yeah. For example, in Japan, I think Professor Ikujiro Nonaka, he recently passed away. He is very well known for that knowledge creation theory. So he is very famous for Seki model, socialization, extraction, externalization, and then the combination, and then internalization, and then this is going to be a spiral. So that kind of knowledge creation kind of, that the theory is there. And he has worked with JICA how to apply this kind of cycle of knowledge creation into development cooperation project. So he sees some of the successful projects have done this process together. So probably that we could also further extend this kind of also theory into this knowledge co-creation, also even the circular, no, that the cooperation. Okay, so and then there are questions about maybe this should go to Shiripon Sensei. Yeah. How
Yes.
can we change the mind, another mindset, but the mindset for those, not the mindset, okay. How, okay, this is for the, maybe the emerging partner side. Yeah. So what are some kind of elements or issues maybe emerging
Mm.
partners have to fulfill to become kind of maybe trustful partner with really emerging partners. Is there anything which you think that the emerging partner also have to do as to be a effective kind of partner for working with other developing partners?
Uh, Working with the traditional donors or
Mhm.
working with the pivotal, working with the recipient country or both?
Yeah, for the emerging partners to become a effective kind of a preparation for to be a
Uh,
yeah.
Okay. I think as I said a few minutes ago, I think for the emerging providers, they have to show the intention that they also would like to cooperate, and not just only showing intention in terms of policy or paper, but I think they also have to design their institutional arrangement or organizational arrangement so that they are ready to work together with the traditional donors and also with the recipient countries. So I think institutional arrangement, the legal framework somehow is also necessary for emerging providers to work with the traditional donors. And at the same time, I think the organizational arrangement is also very important. If not, it may create confusion with partners or actors involved. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Sato sensei, do you have any perspective on this issue? Yeah.
Not specifically
Yeah.
on this, but is
Okay.
it
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just to echo what I mentioned about the value of prevention, which I think is the asset of Japan. I also mentioned that it is very difficult to see the causal connection between the the activity or the policy and the actual result. And I want to give you one example related to this, which is I don't know how you call it in English, but it's the de-weaponization after the war by the United States. You're taking away all the pistols and all the weapons
Yeah.
from the Japanese citizen, including, of course, the military. Of course, the purpose was to secure safety for the occupation forces of the American military. But the long-term effect, I think, was huge. If you look at how many students are killed in the United States for shooting at school, this does not happen in Japan, right? So of course, this U.S. policy was not intended to sort of have a long-term impact on Japanese safety in our ordinary lives, but it had such a preventative effect. And we can sort of sort out different initiatives that have such preventative effect, and then maybe share this with other donors and emerging providers to really, because we don't know much about development. Development has a lot of unintentional consequences. We do things based on our intention, but the impact is usually different, right? So we have to capture the gap between our intention and the impact. And this is the challenge of studying development or even doing development. So I think we have long enough history to learn what caused what kind of things. So I think we can start a new research project with our emerging providers about this kind of a long-term impact of development initiative. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Also, there are some questions about, okay, what is a practical distinction between knowledge sharing and knowledge co-creation? How do you define the difference between these two concepts? So if there are some example, that would be appreciated. So may I ask Ms. Kamei about this? Because you share that overview of maybe we have to go beyond that one-sided knowledge sharing to the mutual kind of that more horizontal that knowledge co-creation. Yeah. Or if also if Yonezaki-san also can, if you can compliment, that would be very much appreciated. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. distinction between knowledge transfer and knowledge co-creation is have just said by Professor Ono now that I think one way, is the knowledge transfer or knowledge, sharing is just one way. For instance, like Japan shares the experiences of the disaster management to the certain country. But I think knowledge co-creation is for both ways, the two ways or circulative ways of knowledge co-creation. So as I explained in the example of ASEAN disaster health management, in the beginning, I think the project started at the sharing of experiences and knowledge of Japan to the ASEAN countries, but eventually through the process, Japan also could learn from the partner countries, ASEAN. And then now Japan expect these ASEAN countries coming to Japan if the very heavy disaster hits Japan. So not only the knowledge co-creation, but sort of shared benefits, coexist in the cooperation with the emerging countries. So I think more two ways or circulative ways of activities and knowledge creations, and as well as the shared benefits is the key for the maintaining or sustaining the knowledge co-creation kind of cooperation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for really going further based on that your that stated example. Yeah, if you can, share that your experience.
The difference between sharing and co-creation, maybe I can identify because we did so many activities for sharing of the knowledge during the decades by seminar, workshop, some kind of events. But we have to remember that what's the objective of the intervention by the international cooperation. So Professor Sato mentioned about the culture of evaluation. What's the meaning of the culture evaluation for JICA is based on the methodology named by PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Action. In case of the step of knowledge sharing, I think the step is plan, sharing. But we need, for creating a practical co-creation with knowledge, we need to implement the do and the check and action. Check means evaluation, and the action is reflecting the lesson learned for following a project. So in case of the co-creation of knowledge, we need a follow-up. For example, many participants in the seminars, when they return to each country, we need the follow-up for action plan implemented by them. So I think it is quite important to think about the do, check, and action. So I would like to emphasize that this kind of concept based on the principle of plan, do, check, action is so much important to promote the knowledge practical co-creation. Thank you very much.
Dr. Kim, do you also have some opinion about, because that South Korea has evolved from knowledge sharing program to now much more enhanced activities? So how do you differentiate that I mean previous knowledge sharing and then now that what you are trying to do as a KSP or others?
So it's basically starts from the understanding of the partner countries. So knowledge sharing is somewhat one-side delivery from supplier to the consumer of the knowledges. But knowledge co-creation is somewhat interactive way to do it. That means you should identify appropriate experts, partners, and the knowledge generators, make deliverable contents by the cooperative way and by the joint researches, of course, cooperative work and hosting seminars, workshops, and reporting the activities. And then we can make a knowledge co-creation stage of those the toward the ultimate goal of knowledge generating and enhancing understanding of the problems and identify the solutions among the alternative, actually very wide spectrum of the alternatives. So that's gonna take time. But I stress out that somebody should take the leader with the leadership. When JICA is dedicated to the knowledge co-creation or even knowledge sharing, then you need some of the commitment with the right experts and dedication, also network. So the leadership should have those some of the combination of the network knowledges and political wills, also identifying ability or among the priorities. So knowledge co-creation is not just the words or paragraph, rather it's beyond the slogan. That means it's needed, it's mandatory, and it's demanding by the changing or heightening the risk among the global society. So I think there is much room for the discussion and much room for the joint researches on those ones. And one thing I should stress out is that you need to make more efforts in identifying some problems rather than just starting the knowledge co-creation. That means I think we need at least 1 year to understand the status and context, also cultural and real aspects of the partners. That means we need to understand more, we need to identify priority, we need lower the barriers in order to get a right track of the knowledge co-creation. That means preparation takes more time than the just activity of the knowledge sharing. So more expertise is needed identify those problems before making real implementation of knowledge co-creation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, for the also encouraging Japan to work kind of based on the what we have been doing. Okay, so lamentably, I think time is always running up. So let us close this session by asking individual that each speaker to have maybe 1 to 2 minutes final words which you want to emphasize. But still, I have to apologize. There are many questions are remaining. For example, yeah, well, I think it's participants from Uzbekistan, yeah, they are really keen that how Uzbekistan can participate in such a triangular cooperation with JICA project or other international organization, or how probably how can we balance maybe Japanese sort of national priority or not sort of interest with the partner countries and also emerging donors. How can we mean that the balance those are kind of interest in really to create a basis for knowledge, real knowledge creation? Is there any good example or not? So we already talked about the Latin American example that the aging issues and that, but I think there are various important questions have been still raised. But let us invite then Shiripon Sensei first to have a final word in taking stock of what we have discussed and also what with the way to go. Sorry, 1 to 2 minutes. Yeah.
Yes, I think few things that we have to think to move forward is the changing local context. We are facing, very dynamic dynamic situation, both in negative way and also in positive way to some extent. Even we said that the climate change, the war among other countries, happen, and it create the negative effect to many countries. But at the same time, we may be able to find some, new knowledge or innovation or what to solve such kind of problems. So I think local context we have to keep in mind. At the same time, we have to think about the local needs, because anyway, development is it happened at the local level. And cooperation is really important. I think there are many things that the development partner, the traditional donors, had learned both success and failure, and we can learn from those countries. At the same time, I think emerging providers, actually we are developing countries, we also have our own experience, we also have our own wisdom and knowledge. We also can share both with the traditional donors and also with our neighboring countries, with our recipient countries. So I think cooperation is important. And based on these two things, I think we need to think beyond the framework that we have, the thing that we have tried so far, because what we have at this moment maybe cannot capture the future trend. So I think learning and working together is really the key for the future. Triangular cooperation can be a model. I really think that there is a prospect for this model to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then Mr. Yonezaki? Yeah.
Thank you very much for inviting me at such an incredible event. And I think the situation around the international cooperation has changed very drastically. And we have to do mindset and the paradigm shift. And of course, in case of JICA, we have to realize a drastic transformation of mindset of the JICA staffs, I think. And talking about the name of this forum, using the term of emerging countries, I understand that most of the global South countries have been accumulated a lot of experience. JICA in Thailand has already have more than 20 years. Brazilian Cooperation Agency next year completed 40 years of anniversary. It means that the term emerging no longer reflects the reality and the actual situation, I think. And the South-South, North-South, developing country, these words, I think, from my viewpoint, do not mean the reality. So that it is quite important for JICA to promote the new kind of modality named by circular cooperation. That is why we are going to promote with a Latin American country. I hope this kind of new definition will promote widely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Professor Sato? Yeah.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation today. I have 2 points to make to close my remarks for today. So the first thing is what Professor Ono mentioned about the theory. Maybe it is good that there's no theory. Theory can be dogmatic sometimes. I think, and the lack of theory is a reason for us to think together to come up with something new. So I think we should not be saddened about the lack of theory. It's a good reason for us to work together. That's my first point. The second point is I'm very curious to know, we talked about knowledge creation today. I'm curious to know where do those knowledge go? Ultimately, where do they go? We create knowledge. Who are the ultimate user of the knowledge? I have been doing research in the very remote part of Cambodia in the Northeast where there's no electricity, no internet. And most people have gone to maybe 3 years or 4 years of school. They think that all the right information come from the school teacher or the government. they have a lot of knowledge, but they don't have a confidence in what they know. We, as an outsider, are trying to test our method of visualization. We use area photo map, and then visualize what people know about the past disaster or where the water comes and on things like that, climate-related information on the map, where people with very little school education can participate. And the point of this exercise is to produce knowledge on the ground, and people on the ground use that knowledge. I think the whole, we have to think about the flow of knowledge. I think the traditional way of, okay, let's create knowledge in the government, and government will eventually disseminate this knowledge to the people. Maybe some knowledge, that path is still effective, but I start to think that maybe we should think more about creating knowledge on the ground, and people on the ground use it immediately, just in time to address their own problems. I think this is another way to think about the mindset change that Mr. Yonezaki mentioned just now. I think the question is, who are the ultimate user of the knowledge? And I think we cannot avoid this question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Kim, yeah, for the final word. Yeah.
And as Professor Sato says that, setting up the audience or consumer of the knowledge is important, but it's directly related to the choosing the right partner or co-creators. Also, setting up the solid framework of the vehicles or venue of knowledge co-creation, I think. So whole thing is dedicated to the structure of the knowledge co-creation. So as I said, there's a big need for the preparation for the knowledge co-creation. So identify stakeholders as decision makers, also choosing the right questions and methodology and scope of the projects of knowledge co-creation. Also, topic and priority of those activities is should be identified during the preparation stages before initiating knowledge co-creation, I think. So we need to consider and reconsider and those structure of the knowledge co-creation, which should be differentiated from the traditional knowledge sharing. So that thing we are open to more activities, more sharing on those ideas and the innovative way to contribute to the global society. So I'm looking forward to another occasion or another opportunity or similar to this activity or seminars. So thank you and really appreciate to JICA.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Kim. I think we're sure we are going to keep collaboration. Yeah. And then, okay, so let us invite Ms. Kamei, yeah, for sharing her final thought, looking at the discussion and also thinking about maybe JICA Research Institute and way to go. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Ono, for giving me the opportunity to speak in the very end of this seminar. I'd like to thank all the panelists for your very candid and very thought-provoking discussions. When I think about the, global divisions and very transactional, self-motivated international cooperation trend today, I sometimes feel very pessimistic. But today I realize that we really have to look into future, especially the challenges that we don't have the answer or prescribed solution yet. For now, I really have to think about how we can transform the discussions or the suggestions we have today into sort of tangible actions. So in my capacity, at least, I really would like to start the launch the research kind of network with the emerging partners. Maybe I should not say emerging because yeah, already, established, kind of countries in terms of development history and so on. But I'm really encouraged by the discussion today to further take actions to, create a platform for the knowledge co-creation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think for this, I hope that we would like to conclude today's session. And I really appreciate that active discussion, and also many comments have been shared. And I really think that this is an area where, including Japan and South Korea and Thailand and many the American partners and Asian partners are working together, because the many discussions currently tend to, future of development cooperation, the big architecture, but how we want to make development for everybody, and then individually, and also society, and also institution, government policy. I think for that, we have to think about different types of knowledge, but seriously thinking about the knowledge would be a very important, and the methodology of co-creation. So this, with the panelists, we really had a wonderful time to think this issue deeply, and then we really acknowledge that there is many things we have to keep doing. But thank you very much for this session. Please raise that the big hand for the panelists. Let's conclude the seminar.